Hi everyone, Adrian from Audio Excellence. Hope you're doing well. We just received a shipment of the new PS Audio DirectStream DAC Mk2, as well as the Perfect Wave SACD transport. So I want to show you what it's all about and why it's so exciting. So first of all, PS Audio introduced the original Mark I about 8 years ago. 8 years ago. But because the factory continually supported it with updates, with new firmware and so on, you would get essentially a new DAC every time they had a new firmware. And that's because the technology is based around FPGAs, field gate programmable arrays, which is basically a fancy way of saying that it's integrated circuits that you can program ongoing. So anyway, Ted Smith, who is the chief designer of the DirectStream DACs, came up with this latest version. Inside you have two FPGAs, and all the inputs, outputs, ground, and power source are galvanically isolated. In other words, no direct conduction path. So that leads to a pure signal with less noise and jitter. So the DAC has a number of very interesting features. All inputs signals, whether it's PCM or DSD, is upsampled to 20 times the DSD sample rate. So whether it's a PCM or DSD, it automatically is converted to DSD. Over here, you can see that it says here 29, that's the volume. It comes with a remote control as well, so you can use this connected directly into your amplifier if you don't have a preamplifier or don't want to use a preamplifier. And that's your volume up and down. This is the menu button, so I'll just show you that. Press and hold it, and it goes to the menu. Then we go to phase, preemphasis. So some CDs are recorded with preemphasis for more high frequencies, and you can turn it off. And that tells you the software firmware version, audio input. So this is where we want to go. You can change the input names to whatever you want. Ground lift. So because every input comes from the factory with the ground lift on, in other words, the ground is connected, if you want to get the best results possible, you should turn them off. So here I've already lifted I2S on input number 1, and if you want all of them to be lifted, you just do the same thing. So hang on a second, lift it, okay, and then, so basically that's how you do it. And according to the factory, if you lift the ground, it will sound better. So when you're done there, let me just go to the coax as well. So let me just make sure all of them are lifted. Theoretically, that should give us better sound. We'll compare it when we do the demo, the review, and tell you what our results are. When you're done, you just press and hold this, and brings you back to the main screen. So anyway, that's the DAC. Let's see if there's anything else. Price in Canadian dollars is $10,999. I'm actually very excited because we've been without a really good DAC around the $10,000 price range for a very long time. While there are other very good DACs out there, in my experience, the original Mark I was so good that it was not only competitive, in many cases was better than most things in the market, anywhere near its price. So when about 2 years ago, PS Audio announced that they were discontinuing it because they thought that the Mark II was imminent, we thought, okay, we'll wait for the Mark II. Unfortunately, it took them quite a long time to release this. So anyway, there it is. Later on, I'll turn it around and show you the back. So this is the transport. Ignore the little shadows. That's because the protective plastic is on the top. Okay. It looks like basically a simple CD/SACD transport, and in essence, it is. However, it's much more sophisticated. As with all previous PS Audio transports, it starts by using Paul McGowan's technology called the digital lens, which he invented back in the 90s, I believe. And the digital lens, let me just give you what the factory describes it as. It isolates the laser mechanism from the output stage. It reduces noise, jitter, and timing effects. It uses a combination of buffer memory and FPGA-based digital processing. So that's this. It plays CDs, obviously, but it also plays SACDs, and let me explain that in a second. So we'll open this up. When you put an SACD inside, it will read the SACD layer as a default, unless you program it to read only CDs. And with SACDs, as many of you know, if you have a separate transport and a separate DAC, but they're two different manufacturers, if you play SACD and you're trying to output the signal into the DAC will not read the SACD signal. And that's because Sony and Philips developed a proprietary lock so that it cannot send the signal and decode it over here in the DAC. The only way you can read the SACD layer is if both transport and DAC have been licensed to do so and they read the protocol. So in this case, because this and this are both able to send the signal and decode the signal, we can play SACDs from here into here. Now, why would you want a CD player today or SACD player, considering that you can stream so much of the content? Because ultimately, the CD and SACD will sound better than the stream content. We've done multiple comparisons, and in every case, it's always better. And in fact, not just better by a little bit, in some cases, better by a lot. So that's why I have both. And let's see if there's anything else here. You can also play a USB memory stick here. However, it will only play the root menu. It won't play the folders. So if you've got a lot of music, and let's say you've got Dynacrawl, for example, and that's the folder, and then you inside the folder you have multiple albums, it will not play that. It can only play if you have all the songs on the main menu. Both units have Wi-Fi or Ethernet, so you can connect it to your network, and that allows you to receive the latest firmware updates. This also has a galvanically isolated output. I think that's it. So let me turn these units off. I'll turn it around so you can see the back connections. Okay, so this is the back of the DirectStream DAC, the D to A converter, and that's the transport. So starting with the transport, obviously that's your power on and off over here. So your main power on and off is over here, and then on the front where the logo is, you push that to enable it from standby. That's your firmware. I guess you plug in your SD card over there, it looks like. So these are your digital outputs: coax RCA, coax BNC, coax BNC again, and that's your AES EBU connections over there. Let's see if there's anything else that I'm missing. Okay, and then over here, that's your DirectStream DAC. So you have your I2S and I2S, and this is where you would get the connection if you wanted to play your SACDs and decode them over here. These are your outputs, your left and right RCA and left and right balanced. And these are your digital inputs for XLRs, AES EBUs over there, as well as your optical, USB, and I2S. We talked about that. You can connect your Ethernet over here. And again, your firmware updates over there as well, and the power. So very simple overall to connect. This will all, as I think I mentioned, will also connect to your network. And then finally, here's your remote control. From what I gather, the remote control is the same whether it's for the DAC or for the transport. So pretty easy to use. All right, stay tuned for our review. As soon as we burn it in, we will review this as a combo as well as the DAC by itself to see what it sounds like, and then we'll compare it to other devices that we will have in the store as well. Price of the transport is $89.99 Canadian. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.